Starfield has been out for several weeks now, and of course modders have been hard at work making improvements to the game, as well as patching up some of those bugs we've come to expect from Bethesda titles. And believe it or not, there's already actually upwards of 4,000 mods out for Starfield, and today we're going to take a look at some of the best ones available thus far. With that said, the mods I'll be covering are ones that are focused on quality of life, gameplay and visual improvements, none of which stray too far away from the core elements of Starfield. I think a great place to start is with some visual mods. Starfield is by no means a bad looking game, but if you want to improve the visuals, the first step is to address the extensive color filtering that Bethesda put into Starfield. These filters can make the game appear muddy and uninspiring, especially in places that utilize stronger color filtering. There's quite a number of mods that address this by either removing color filters entirely or by making direct adjustments to them, the most popular option being Naturaluts, which takes the approach of removing all color filtering that Bethesda added to the base game, bringing out its natural look. While I think this is a clear improvement, I don't necessarily think the best approach is to remove color grading entirely. I personally prefer Naturaluts, which focuses on removing the hazy green filter that's present in the game, and improving the existing filters in various ways. The result is a cleaner look while still maintaining the art direction that Bethesda originally intended for Starfield. Naturaluts comes in 3 versions. The Vanilla Plus version, which most closely resembles the vanilla experience but with improved filters and a slightly more neutral color tone. The Enhanced version, which is my preferred option, has more neutral colors than Vanilla Plus, with increased black levels, more vibrant colors, and improved contrast. The Standard option is somewhere in between with more neutral colors than Vanilla Plus, but a more subdued image than the Enhanced option. No option is objectively better than the other. It will ultimately come down to your personal preferences. But if you really want to take your game's visuals to another level, you have to combine this mod with a Reshade preset. There's been dozens of presets that have been released over the past few weeks, and after trying out a bunch of them, the one that really stood out to me was the Rudy Reshade for Starfield. Created by the same mod author that is arguably some of the best ENB presets for Skyrim. As opposed to a single preset, this mod actually has 11 presets in total that have different approaches and/or are meant to be used with vanilla color grading or with a specific LUT mod such as Naturaluts. I'm not going to go over each and every one of them, but the 2 presets I personally think look the best are the Natural Preset 3 and the Base LUTs Natural Preset. You can easily cycle through these different presets and you're bound to find at least one that suits your preferences. Next, let's take a look at a few texture mods, with one of the more impactful ones being Effect Textures Enhanced. This mod has remade and improved virtually every last visual effect in Starfield. All types of explosions, weapon effects such as muzzle flashes as well as bullet impacts. Everything related to blood has also been improved. This includes bullet wounds, blood splatters, as well as blood pools. Arguably the most impactful improvement can be seen in fire effects, which looked comically bad before. The new handmade fire effects are much more realistic and consistent with what you'd expect from a AAA studio. This mod provides a very noticeable enhancement to your game, not just because these textures are much more high definition than the vanilla ones, but also because these are reoccurring effects and textures that you'll be seeing very frequently throughout your playthrough, making this mod an absolute must-have for me. The next texture mod, Starfield HD Reworked project, is one that is even more ambitious than the last. It aims to improve the game's graphics by enhancing a variety of assets while at the same time preserving the original art style. So far, the mods reworked various environmental textures throughout the game, including but not limited to terrain, floor, wall, and rock textures. The mod reworks the game's fire effects as well, which overlaps slightly with the Effect Textures Enhanced mod, so if you use both, you have to choose which one takes priority. Lastly, the mod enhances non-unique NPCs, providing their faces with some much needed detail. Now let's take a look at a series of mods to further enhance the appearance of both NPCs as well as your character. The first of which is brought to us by the same individual that made the Eyes of Beauty mods for both Skyrim and Fallout. But this time they've made a new addition specifically tailored for Starfield. These expertly handcrafted eye textures have a high level of attention to detail and help breathe some extra life into Starfield's characters. If you want to further improve the look of your character and NPCs, then I'd also recommend using Eyebrows Redone. This mod touches up those sparse and unnatural eyebrows to make them appear more realistic and consistent. Before we continue, a big thanks to Tainted Grail, the Fall of Avalon, for sponsoring this video. For those that are unfamiliar, Tainted Grail is an ambitious open-world RPG that takes place in a dark fantasy world setting. It values player choice and your playstyle is entirely up to you, whether that be close combat with a sword and shield, Magic casting and summoning are a more stealthy approach. All of this is possible and more. The game provides a deep customization for your character through both stats as well as an extensive perk system. Along with a vast amount of skills and equipment, the possibilities are virtually endless. The Tainted Grail team have just recently released a massive update that has overhauled nearly every system in the game, along with a ton of new content, including but not limited to new dungeons, new NPCs, an improved crafting system, as well as a massive enhancement to enemy AI to make combat both more challenging and enjoyable. Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon is currently out on Steam. There will be a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. Now let's take a look at some user interface mods, because like many other Bethesda titles, Starfield didn't ship with the best UI. The inventory menus are a prime example of this. It's not the cleanest, and when you begin to accumulate a lot of items, you'll end up spending a considerable amount of time scrolling through menus. The mod Star UI completely revolutionizes all inventory screens by compacting the category and item lists, making them easier to navigate, as well as providing additional details on the properties of the items you're holding, such as the mass, value to mass ratio, rarity, and much more. This is all customizable, so you can enable as many or as few as you like. You can also now sort your items by clicking any of these column headers, which I found to be especially useful for inventory management. Additionally, you'll find new icons in front of the names of items indicating which category it belongs to, making it easier to determine what an item is at a single glance. And if you combine this mod with Star HUD, you'll be able to view these icons when looting, providing a complementary appearance to the loot list, as well as better item cards that display useful information such as the value to mass ratio of items. Now that we've fixed up inventories and item menus, let's do the same to the game's other menus. This can be done with Stentorius' compact UI series. These subsequent mods modify the game's menus to be more clean and compact, making them easier to read and taking less time to scroll through. These mods cover basically all the game's menus, including the mission menu, crafting menu, the crew menu, outpost builder menu, as well as the ship builder menu. But there's one glaring issue with menus that we've overlooked, and that would be those long and drawn out menu animations. With how often you're opening your inventory and other menus, it feels excessive and slow. The mod Undelayed Menus solves this by making your menus open up nearly instantaneously, providing swifter and smoother menu interactions. One area that this mod fails to cover is the favorites menu. That's where the mod Faster Favorites menu comes in. This mod removes the flickering when opening the favorites menu, as well as speeds up the menu's animation. The difference isn't visually that noticeable, but when you're actually playing, the difference in responsiveness is quite apparent. Lastly, let's clean up Starfield's dialogue. Enhanced Dialogue Interface does just that. It eliminates the black background, centers and widens the dialogue, and adds a subtle text shadow for improved readability. Not only does the mod make the dialogue interface much more aesthetically pleasing, but it also makes the dialogue interaction experience much smoother by eliminating menu delays, as well as providing the ability to now use numbered keys for easy dialogue response selection. By the same author, we also have enhanced subtitles, which cleans up the game's subtitles, making them a bit easier on the eyes and consistent with the new dialogue interface. Both of these dialogue mods can be extensively customized. You can change the text size, font, appearance, and location to just name a few. But if you're looking for a more plug-and-play experience, you can use one of the many presets the authors provided. With all these mods thus far, we've made great strides in improving the game's UI, but there's also lots of improvements that can be made to the game's HUD. A great place to start is with the mod BetterHUD. This mod solves a few annoying aspects about the game's HUD that I noticed almost immediately. I'm referring to those massive notifications that appear in the center of your screen when you either discover a new location, gain experience, or level up. BetterHUD reduces the size of these elements and relocates them to the corner of your screen. You can also optionally choose to disable enemy health bars, hit markers, and level up notifications entirely, as well as replace the game's crosshair with a simple dot crosshair. Next, we have the mod Enhanced Player Health Bar, which simply causes the health bar's color to change dynamically depending on how much health you have remaining. Different colors exist for 75%, 50%, 25% remaining HP. And when the health bar is full, you can choose to have it display the standard white color, or alternatively a blue or green. I'm not sure why this feature wasn't already included by Bethesda, but it certainly makes tracking your current health much easier. Now let's take a look at the mod Scanner Encumbrance Display with Time. This mod adds an encumbrance display to your watch's interface when in scanning mode, allowing you to keep track of the inventory space you have available, which in a game like Starfield is quite useful to know without having to open your inventory. It's worth mentioning that this mod and the previous two have some compatibility issues with each other. Thankfully, there's a separate patch mod available that allows for these mods to work seamlessly together, which I'll also be linking down in the description. The last HUD mod, ammo type icons and labels, simply adds 2 icons to your HUD near the weapon icon, which indicate the type of ammo that your currently equipped weapon uses. It's a useful piece of information, especially with how many different types of ammo there are in Starfield. Now let's take a look at some mods that enhance the gameplay elements of Starfield, starting with Better Boost Pack Flight, a mod that aims to improve the boost pack experience by fine-tuning it to have a more realistic and weighty flight experience. The result is enhanced forward propulsion when using the boost pack, as well as the ability to hover at a desired altitude, making boost pack combat a bit more viable. The hovering is very intuitive. To enter hover mode, boost up, then when your character begins to fall, boost again and hold it to hover in place. The ship combat in Starfield is one of its strong suits. The introduction of a power allocation system was a neat touch made by Bethesda, but if you're sick of fumbling your buttons while trying to fly and manage power at the same time, then you'll probably want the mod Slow Motion during ship power management. As the title suggests, this mod slows time while allocating your ship's power, making ship combat a bit smoother and less tedious. While we're on the topic of ships, another must-have mod for me is Call Your Ship, which, you guessed it, allows you to call your spaceship to your current location from anywhere outdoors. It's perfect for those of you who are tired of having to run all the way back to your ship after exploring a planet. Of course, there's always the option to just fast travel to your ship, but there is something surreal about seeing your ship remotely travel to and land at your current location. It has a much more immersive feel to it, and I can't recommend it enough. In Starfield, you can utilize crafting stations to make a variety of sophisticated items and consumables, which begs the question, why can't either ammo, digipicks, or medpacks be crafted? The mod Craftable Ammo and Utilities rectifies this. You can now craft ammo and digipicks at the industrial workbench, as well as medpacks at the pharmaceutical lab. All of this can be crafted with pre-existing resources and ones that make seemingly the most sense. I also find it unusual that in Starfield, technology is advanced enough to be capable of traversing the galaxy, but at the same time a proper flashlight can't be constructed. Not only is the flashlight weak, but it's also a bit unrealistic. The mod Real Flashlight makes the game's flashlight brighter and wider in range. At the same time, it makes the refraction of light a bit more realistic and closer to what you'd expect to see from an actual flashlight. Next, let's take a look at Faster Animations, a series of mods created by Dankcraft that speed up many of the game's animations. A lot of these animations can be seen frequently and become monotonous after a while. A prime example being airlocks, which are insanely slow. The mod speeds these up along with ship landing, taking off, and docking animations, as well as furniture sitting, standing, and workbench animations. And lastly, ladder and mantling animations. Each of these are individual downloads with various speed multipliers, so you can customize the individual speeds to your liking. The next mod, Immersive Shell Casings, is a small but appreciated immersion mod that raises the game's measly 10 shell casing limit, so now hundreds can be displayed at any given time, allowing you to see the aftermath of a firefight with all the shells still in the places you originally shot them, all with little to no performance impact. Lastly, we have Perk Up Richer Galaxy, which makes some quality of life and gameplay tweaks to Starfield's vendors. Vendors throughout the galaxy now have between 2 to 4 times more credits. The amount of additional credits vendors carry will be contingent on their location as well as their social class. So you can expect a vendor in a large city like New Atlantis to have far more credits than a random small-time vendor. Also, vendors will now carry significantly more basic resources as well as ammunition. With the sheer number of mods that have been released for Starfield, it's difficult to include all the mods I wanted in a single video. So let me know down in the comment section if there are any other mods you felt should have been included, and/or if you'd like to see a part 2 to this series. With that said, links to all the mods I covered in this video can be found in the description. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you're new. And as always, thank you for watching.